So I want to ask you guys, how would you describe Brina in a few words?
The boss. The president. Go on.
Brina is
Brina.
I would describe her as a force of nature. A woman that doesn't really like to be in the forefront, but by her actions, she always winds up there.
generous with her time, with her talent. She's generous with her friends. She's generous with people that she hasn't met. She's generous with her knowledge of the Jewish community and the community around us.
She has vision, she has passion, and she knows how to get it done. When Brina gets involved, you know it's gonna happen.
Brina is a bulldog in the best sense, and when Brina sets her mind to something, she just attacks it, and she goes for it with all of her heart, with all her passion.
Capable, extremely capable.
Determination.
Meticulous. She absolutely, from beginning to end, understands what needs to be done.
Fearless. She doesn't view anything as insurmountable.
Dedicated, thorough.
Dynamic is the one word to describe Brina. She's a dynamo, powerhouse, deluxe, extraordinaire.
Opinionated and correct, strong-willed, devoted, just a fantastic person, just down to her core. She's every bit as good a person and a friend as she is a mother.
Brina has been a very strong and influential leader in the Tulsa Jewish community for many decades. As you know, she was the development director at the Jewish Federation of Tulsa. Even in her working years, she was very involved in other Jewish agencies and organizations in Tulsa. And since her retirement, she has even stepped up her game even more by more involvement in practically every Jewish organization in Tulsa, most recently leading the charge at Temple Israel. Her tireless work on the Next Door project for building a new Temple Israel has really been super impactful.
For over 5 decades, she has helped sustain Jewish life here in Tulsa by her supporting of 0 Point, the Jewish Community Campus, Mizell Jewish Community Day School, and the Sherwin Miller Museum of Jewish Art.
Brina is omnipresent in the Jewish community in Tulsa. I don't think there's any organization or institution that she hasn't touched in a meaningful way. I don't think there's anything involved with Jewish life that you could possibly do in this community that Brina hasn't left a major impact on and helped move forward.
Oftentimes you go someplace and people will say to you, "Are you active in your community?" And when it comes to Brina, she's the epitome of what active in a community is like. Brina has been a member and active in every institution in this city. The temple, of course, but the synagogue as well. The JCC, the woman exercises on a regular basis, as well as, in essence, running the biggest chunk of the Federation during her tenure. She is what we call a community activist.
Okay, so one thing I always admired about Brina was not only her dedication to her family, which was always so strong, but her dedication to the community as well. Brina is one of the most capable, dedicated, devoted people that I know.
I agree with Nancy.
Okay. As a mother, as a leader in the community, she is one of a kind. I will tell you, I could not have asked for a better mother. She raised 3 kids, and I owe her credit for who I turned out to be.
So I moved back to Tulsa in late 1986. I believe it was 1988 that she asked me to chair Super Sunday. So I was out here on Super Sunday, fun-filled, busy day, and my girlfriend, by the name of Gail, was visiting from Dallas where she was working as an attorney. We just started dating, and I told Brina that Gail was going to visit. I'd like just a few minutes to go outside with her. And I believe it was the first time that we ever held hands. So I can look back to Brina and the impact she's had in Super Sunday all those years ago, and I won't give her credit for 36 years of marriage and 3 kids and a couple of grandchildren. But there's an impact there.
Brina is just a dynamo. She is a one-woman show, not afraid to roll up her sleeves and just get in there and get after it.
There have been many times through the years that Brina has come to us for support, and we're always happy to do it because she's so committed and dedicated to what she does. It's impossible to tell Brina no.
Brina's one of those people who doesn't just say it, she does it. And her actions speak louder than her words ever could. And her words are kind of loud.
When I moved here in 1973, and I thought maybe it's time for me to do something more meaningful, try to get involved in the Jewish community. So I went to the Federation, and I think Nate Loshak was the executive director, and I just sat and visited with him and told him a little bit about my history and told him I thought I wanted to get involved. I wanted to do something more meaningful with my life. So he welcomed me with open arms, and then I became that brash, big-mouthed woman. What is she doing here? Why is she expressing these opinions at our all good old boys meetings? The more I got involved, the more I loved it. I really did love it.
I have to compare Brina to Golda. She has such passion and such commitment, and she led with such force at a time that women really, like Golda being the first and only prime minister of Israel, women were not involved or looked upon for leadership, and Brina was there and not ever afraid. She was a role model to all of us. She started the United Jewish Women's Appeal and Young Leadership Division, and she brought Lion of Judah here before a lot of communities already had it.
We had, in those days, I don't know, 36 or 37 women that gave $5,000 a year or greater. And then we had the different levels, but we had events that were interesting, sometimes in someone's home, sometimes at a nice restaurant.
Wants the best out of any event. So you know if she's attached to it, she's meticulous from what's in the room, what's on the tables, what kind of lighting, what kind of food, what kind of entertainment. She's going to understand that from beginning to end.
Yeah, personally, I really got to know Brina probably best from my planning my bar mitzvah party. She was, in those days, a party planner and got to help with it, and her and I can both be pretty bullheaded, so I think we were a match made in heaven, and I think, again, that's how I really got to know her on a personal level.
She helped us with our son's engagement party that we had at home. And then she helped me with his birthday party.
65th.
I think, yeah, 65th. And she was fun to work with, and she has great ideas. She's very creative.
She is a perfectionist, especially when she was doing the parties, because she would say, oh, she would have a fit if it wasn't the way she wanted it. And we'd say, well, can I help you? You're going to go. She says, no, nope, no.
I'll handle it.
I'll handle it. I think the funniest is that she would always say, these people do not RSVP.
Oh, right.
They do not RSVP, and then I have to get on the phone and I've got to call them to say, are you coming or not coming?
No, but she's got this new way now.
What's the new way?
No, it's an old way, but she puts on the back of every invitation a number, and that corresponds to, on her piece of paper, the people. So if she gets the RSVP back and they don't put their name on it, she'll know who it is.
Yeah, that was her one big, every single time she would be doing a wedding, a bar mitzvah, it was the people didn't RSVP. But everything was, the flowers and the food.
Had to be perfect.
Perfect.
That's how she operated.
We used to have an annual dinner called the Maimonides Dinner, which was to tell people about the Jewish Federation of Tulsa's foundation. At this one particular dinner, it was a class event. Everything was perfect. After dinner, the speaker gets up to give his speech, and they serve dessert, which is a baked pear with a glaze over it. And the speaker starts to talk. People start eating their desserts. With this glaze on the pear, it had been cooked solid. You couldn't break it. couldn't break the glaze to get to the pear. So people are trying to eat it with their spoons. There is no knife and fork, and they can't break the shell. So the spoon keeps hitting the plate. So the speaker's talking, and all we hear is the clacking sounds of the pears.
Irv Frank, may he rest in peace, got up to the microphone and said, while you're clacking your pears, we'll continue our program. I mean, took such pride in my meals and the selection, and then somebody froze the damn pears, and they went flying off the plates. That's all he could think of as saying, while you're clacking your pears.
And the room breaks out in laughter, so they have to calm us down. People put their pear aside, and we get on with the program. And she handled it like a pro. She just started laughing as well. And then she made some comment about, well, we have clacking pears tonight for dessert.
The events were terrific, and people wanted to go to them. And this was the criteria for you to give a certain level of money to campaign.
And every gift was important. I don't care if it was $1 or 50 cents, it was an important gift because it comprised our community and what they understood and wanted to do for Federation. So I ran it as a party. We had a big party on Sunday. We had balloons, we had food, we had activities for the kids. We had a bookkeeping room, which was the place. Everyone wanted to volunteer for the bookkeeping room because it was really crazy in there. Harvey Cohen was one of the ones that helped. Harvey Cohen's and Dean Mandelbaum, may he rest in peace, was one of the ones. They made that bookkeeping room so fun that I had to fight people they wanted to keep their sessions and not give up their session when the next person came in.
It's now time for a rendition of Words Brina Taught Us, starring Nancy and Harvey Cohen.
Then Nancy and I moved to Tulsa in the 1980s. It felt like we were on vacation. It was hot as hell, and we didn't know a soul. So we did what any young Jewish person would do in a similar situation. We went to check out the JCC, and lo and behold, who is the very first person we met? The infamous Brina. We explained our situation to Brina. She gave us hugs. She said, no problem, I'm gonna take you under my wing. I'm gonna teach you everything you need to know about Jewish Tulsa. And there's 2 words or phrases that you need to add to your vocabulary immediately. Those 2 phrases are annual campaign and Super Sunday. The next thing I knew, Nancy and I had volunteered to be the very next cheer people for Super Sunday. Not only that, for the next 2 decades, I volunteered to work in the Super Sunday bookkeeping room. Now, the bookkeeping room was kind of interesting. It had no less than 8 volunteers that were required to count the vast number of pledges that rolled in the entire day. Brina, the room also had several adding machines, old school adding machines with tape. So Brina could check, double check, triple check, and quadruple check all of our tallies of the pledge cards. Brina would run into the room at the beginning of the day and say, I need to teach you folks a few words that you're going to need in this process of bookkeeping. The first word I need to teach you is schmuck. A schmuck is somebody who donates less than what Brina thinks they should. Most people fit into this category. The next word is mensch. The mensch is somebody who donates more money than Brina thought they should. Very few people ended up in this category. Not only that, Brina had to go back to her financial resources, update this family's gross national product, and revise her expectations for this family's donations in future years. The next word Brina taught us was orthodox. Orthodox to Brina meant the separation of men and women. That means when pledges came in, only the female adding machines were allowed to tabulate those pledges, and On the other side, when male pledges came in, only the other adding machines were able to tabulate those pledges. Then, the completed pledge cards were passed down through a series of people, and we would yell out schmuck or mensch, and given to the people at the end who would then file those cards into filing boxes, again maintaining the separation of male and female. The next word that Brina taught us was alphabetize within alphabetize. This was some sort of Brina's strategy, but she really used it to see how smart any of us really were. And then the final Brina word. What none of us in bookkeeping actually knew was Brina, during Super Sunday, stayed buried within her office in the far end of the building, keeping her own tally of pledges. And at the end of a very long, demanding day of bookkeeping, Brina would burst into the bookkeeping room, and with a huge smile on her face, and this happened every year, she would announce, "We had a card-on-card increase." Now, the truth of the matter is, to this day, no one even knows what that means, but Brina does, and that's all that matters. So in conclusion, Brina, we want you to know that we love you and congratulations on this honor.
There once was a woman named Brina the Great who ran every room and maybe the state with opinions so strong you'd best just agree or prepare for a spirited chat over tea.
She's queen of the bridge table, a true card shark. She'll crush you by noon and be kind by dark. Good try, she'll say sweetly, with barely a grin, but we all know she's thrilled when she wins.
She's been running things Jewish for more than a spell. The Federation? Oh yeah, she ran that as well.
Now president of the temple, big crown on her head, and 5 committees formed before breakfast and bed.
Dedicated? Absolutely. Committed? You bet. If there's a cause, Brina's already in debt. She's passionate, driven, with energy to spare, and generous enough to make you stop and stare.
And parties, oh please, Brina's the queen, with centerpieces shinier than you've ever seen. You'd think it's a wedding, yet somehow no bride, just Brina's idea of a casual night.
But don't let the boss energy fool you too much. Her family's her heart, her soft, loving touch, a grandma to grandkids with joy and with pride. She spoils them sweetly and doesn't even hide.
Yes, Brina's got style and brains and great shoes. A woman who simply refuses to lose. Strong-willed yet caring, she's loyal and true. But fair warning, she's probably right more than you.
As long as I can remember, when she had a keychain that the Federation gave her that said LMMD, Little Miss Mitzvah Doer. And that's what she is. She is a mitzvah doer, always has been, and cares about strength in the Jewish community. She's not even the most spiritual, religious Jew, but she cares ultimately. It's all about the Jewish people and the community. And she puts her heart and soul into it. And no one does a campaign like my mother. And everyone who's here at this dinner knows it.
Decade after decade, as a volunteer and as a professional, Brina has been so critically involved in our community with a number of institutions. I mean, her legacy is really enduring.
Brina's leadership has quite literally helped the foundation of the Tulsa Jewish community through her fundraising efforts. Some of the fundraising efforts that she did many decades ago are continuing to bear fruit today, and I believe that she had a very large impact on the financial stability of the Jewish Federation by providing the seed money to help that organization maintain its facilities and programming and all the good that it continues to do.
The story that I have to best describe Brina is the story of Honi and the carob tree. And this old man planted these seeds for a carob tree. And these young people were walking by and they said to him, "Old man, why are you planting these trees? You will never live to see it bloom." And he said to them, "As my parents planted for me, so I plant for my children." And this is what Brina has really done. Over all these years, she's planted the seeds of our community for generations to come.
The next generation needs to remember just how much she really loves this community. Very obvious in everything she does. Sometimes a little too obvious, but Brina really loves and cares about this Jewish community like nobody I know.
You know, her commitment to this community, her real understanding of everything is bigger than just us or this organization, that it touches everything in the Jewish community in Tulsa, that it is what connects us together and the glue that binds us. That's what really inspires me about Brina. We're so honored to be honoring you and your legacy tonight, and we love you. Thank you for everything you've done.
She puts her time in, she puts her energy in, she puts her financial resources in, and it would be really difficult not to follow behind her and do the same.
And everything she does, it's not for her, it's for the embetterment of the Jewish community.
At a time when society may not have embraced the role of women in these kind of roles, and I mean, she just has become just an icon of just the Jewish symbolism of Jewish women in the strength that she demonstrates.
She worked really hard and worked her tuchus off to move the Jewish view to where it is today. She has created beautiful events and celebrated the Jewish community in ways that can never be matched. I don't know if she realizes how much her presence in this community has impacted across, from both on a religious side, on a cultural side, on a entertaining side. She's great.
Her legacy in the Jewish community, I think, is one of a uniter. It's somebody who made sure that we kept our eyes on the prize and kept moving forward, and again stayed as a thriving Jewish Tulsa and as a tight-knit community.
Being friends for that long, I think you really, in my opinion, you share so many different aspects of your life as you go through the journey. And she has been there for me, and I think I've been there for her, for good times, bad times. She is somebody I can always count on. You know, I think it's very rare to have a friend like that. If you can have a few people in your life that are like that, I feel very blessed and happy to have her.
She be there when we need her. So, you know, she's great. Mm-hmm. If she's not Zooming or going to a meeting or God knows what else she's doing.
Well, I think as long as Brina can breathe in and breathe out, I think the Jewish community will know that she's visible, and she will be visible. And, you know, please God gives her the strength to continue on her many missions.
Her love for this community goes above and beyond. A single story, there's too many. I know that you ask her to do something, she's always there.
She's a dynamo, that's it. Just who Brina is.
Our community will feel her influence in so many ways for decades to come. But I can't think of a way more directly than through the benefit of the Brina Reinstein Annual Campaign Endowment Fund, which she created and will be there to support all sorts of needs in the future.
Her legacy is going to continue as these organizations continue to be successful, and her training will stay with many of us for hopefully decades in the future. There's only one way to do things, and that's Brina's way. Brina reigns. R-E-I-G-N-S.
I decided I wanted to live on this earth, and when I was gone, I would have left my presence here. I would have done something that was meaningful and worthwhile with my life. So that's how it all started. I wanted to make a difference in this world. I wanted to leave my mark, and I've continued to serve in the organizations that I love and that make sense to me. I guess my message would be is to remember one thing: you're Jewish. And as a Jew, you have a responsibility, and that responsibility is to take care of other Jews no matter where they are. And not only your own family, your own community, but Jews around the world. Because we Jews have a mission, and that is Tikkun Olam, to repair the world.
As long as Brina lives, Brina will be getting us to do something. So just stay tuned, everybody, because she is going to be on to whatever the next thing is, and you're going to have to say yes, because it's Brina.